When a sudden death occurs, it always takes us by surprise. But when that person is someone close to us, it can downright knock us down, leaving us to ask the question, how can I go on? Can there really be a life after death? In today's episode, I'll be talking with Austin George.
Hey.
Austin is a talented guitarist and my husband's cousin. And today we'll be discussing how God has helped Austin deal with the loss of someone very close to him and just what God did during that time. So Austin, thanks for coming out today. I'm excited to have you on my show.
Hey, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. You're one of the first musicians I've had. And I thought for a long time, I'm like, man, I really need to have a musician on here. I like to hear their perspective on all of this because I feel like musicians and singers and people that are creative minds just kind of experience the world differently than everybody else.
Oh, yeah. So different is a way to put it.
In a positive way. I'm not saying like, it's weird different. It's just different and I think in a beautiful way. So I've been wanting to have a person like yourself, Moshe, for a long time. But I know today we're going to be talking about something totally different than that. But I do know, I know you play at McClendon Baptist Church. I know you're on the ministry team, for that, like you're in the band. But you also, aren't you in a band, like an actual, like
something like
band?
That? Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that for a second.
I play with Dead Reckoning String Band, and we do a good job of bluegrass and popular tunes up, and I use that term very fondly because we dabble in the bluegrass, right? Like some traditional bluegrass people might look at us and be like, that's not bluegrass. But I love it. I love what we're doing. And,
okay, cool.
But yeah, we have a good time. Yeah,
because I like bluegrass and I like that kind of music. It's fun. It's unique. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. Some people hate it, but I love it.
Oh man, the older I get, like whenever I first started playing, I was all about like, let's play electric guitar. Let's just melt people's minds with that, But now that I'm kind of, it's not like I'm old or anything, I guess. But I'm seasoned
older.
Enough, right?
Yeah,
Put some salt and pepper on it.
Yeah,
and I'm going back to more acoustic and I'm enjoying, but it's about the song rather than a trick, if that makes any sense. Like you can, anybody can, blah, 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 blah. But like, if you find a good song that has a good story behind it, man, like that's the sauce.
That's good. That's good. Well, how long have you been playing and how long have you been at McClendon too?
That's a good question. I've been playing since I was 11. So it's been I'm 27 now. And so about 15 years of playing. Wow. I've been at McClendon. It's been a good, 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Something like, maybe 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll probably ask you more questions about that in our extras episode. So if you guys want to, learn more about Austin, because he's pretty cool. We got Austin Awesome. Well, check in on my Patreon account for his extras episode. But for now, we're going to talk about why he's here. And his story is not as upbeat as we've been talking. So where does your story start?
Okay. Picture this. It's Friday night. It's January 21st, 2022. And me and my fiance, who's now my wife, we're sitting at home and we're watching Bob Ross. We're winding down for the evening. We're literally making cookies. And I get a phone call. And like, I had just talked to my brother like earlier that day. And the plan was we were all going to go to my mom's house and we were going to have, cook some food and stuff that day. And talking about Saturday. And this is Friday night. And I get a phone call from my brother's girlfriend, and she was out of town, and she said, hey, Tyler's had an accident. And I was like, yeah, like, what's going on, And she was like, I don't know really what's going on. I can't get a hold of anybody. And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're going to load up. We're going to go check it out, Mm-hmm. He lived out in Calhoun, and I was living out in Lakeshore, so it was a good drive.
Yeah.
And
that's a good 45-minute drive.
Oh, at least but it's a good
on a fast, nobody in traffic day. Yeah.
Yeah. It was about 10 o'clock. It was about 10 or 11 at night.
Yeah.
We were, just vibing, just making cookies, and so me, Bailey, and our dog Marley get in the car and we start heading out there. I start trying to call him. He's not answering. And I start trying to figure out who's out there with him. Apparently he had some people out there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just something, I don't know what it was, man, but it was just, I didn't know what was going on, you know? And then I get a phone call. I'm literally about to be out there. I get a phone call from his girlfriend again, and she was out of town. And I guess she's calling some people that were there and, you know, mediating, I guess. And
getting more updates and stuff.
Yeah. And we're freaking out. You know, we're not listening to music. Like, it's like you know, I've never felt like this, you know. And she's like, hey, you know, Tyler shot himself. And I'm like, yeah, like in the arm, right? Like, and so I get out there and there's like cops, like, running, I mean, all around the place. Like, it's just lit up, blue lights. And I get out of the car and this cop comes up to me and is like, hey, what are you doing here? You know, what's your business out here? And I'm like, this is my brother's house, you know, like, what are y'all doing? And I was like, this is, you know, really my dad's property.
Yeah.
And they were like, your brother's deceased. Right.
Wow.
And I was like,
that's how you were told?
Yeah. They were like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. You know,
because that's how you hear it, honestly, is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, it's cold. It's really cold outside. But I didn't care. Like, I was just like, no, you're serious?
Yeah.
And anyways, nobody else knew at that point other than the people that were there. Apparently they had carted them off and they were questioning them and stuff like that. And so I'd call my dad. And first of all, I had to get him on the phone and, you know, kind of tell him what had happened. I don't even know what I told him. I was just like, hey, you need to get out here right now. And like, you know, from what I heard, he had like 3 or 4 people over and they were hanging out. And like, I don't know really the order of events. I wasn't out there. Yeah. But from everything I heard, it was like everything was going fine. They were just hanging out. And he just all of a sudden came inside. He'd been outside a hot minute. And he came back inside and told everybody, hey, I'm going to go in the back. I'm going to go to sleep. And so he went in his bedroom and they heard a pow, you know. And, and they just went back there and there he was, like on the ground. And I don't know how much of that I believe or anything like that. I still have I don't know. You know, it hadn't even been 2 years yet and I still don't know. They don't know where his phone's at. You know, they were never, you know, able to find that or anything like that. So it was... And I'm still going through it. Like, I don't know what's going on half the time. But I think the hardest part was calling my mom or calling my dad. And we're out there a while and he's kind of freaking out. And he looks at me and he's like, we got to tell your mother. We got to call. You know, we're not going to. And at that point, it's about 2 a.m. It's like 1 or 2. Yeah. And we've just been out there just like walking around looking crazy.
Well, trying to process it. I mean, how do you I'm sure it's surreal.
Oh, yeah. Like,
is this a movie? Like, are we in the Twilight Zone? Like, this can't be happening.
Oh, it was, you know, I don't even know. Words, like, don't do it justice at all. Like, I'm still, I mean, it's burned into my brain, you know, just all the little details. Like, I just, you know, I just remember getting back in the car with Bailey and Marley. And, you know, we just followed my dad, or he followed me to my mom's house. I can't remember. And we're banging on their door. And I mean, I just remember walking in with him and my mom's like, I guess I don't know. She was in the living room and she was like, what's wrong? And like, my dad walks in and then I'm there with Bailey and she's holding Marley. And then Miss Kim, my stepmama, walks in. And they tell her, and like, I mean, she is just hollering, man. Like, it was just like, you know, one of the worst things I've ever, I mean, it was awful. Like, having to tell both my parents that, you know, that happened. Yeah. You know, it was just crazy because at one point in time, I was the only one that really, I mean, other than the people that were there. Right. You know? Yeah. But anyways, that's the abridged version. Right. Wow. I mean, what? Like, what are you talking? You know, I'm still like, this is stuff you read about, you know, but.
Yeah. Or listen on a different podcast about. Yeah. I do listen to this kind of podcast a lot. But man, because I mean, I was there for the funeral and like, I am part of the family ish. Yeah. I mean, on this end, you know, like you are Caleb's cousin. So this also happened to Caleb's other cousin, your brother Tyler, and his uncle and all that. So this is really close to home for us for all that. And we were kind of like, this is what we know. Like, this is a story that that I heard during that time. And that is all that I know as well, And yeah, like you said, it's been a few years, but then but then not, because time is weird when grief is involved. Like, grief and time, it just kind of, it's its own little thing.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I was doing good, it's like, it just kind of happened. And I still don't know what to think, because it was like I was about to get married, right? I was about to get married,
yeah.
And he was supposed to be my best man.
Yeah.
And so we were all supposed to hang out the next day with my mom, and that's what my mom kept like saying over and over.
I just don't understand. Like, how did this happen?
She was just like, we had a plan. We were all going to hang out. I was going to make, like, I think she says like shrimp fettuccine or like crawfish Alfredo. It was something like that. She just kept saying that over and over and over again. We're supposed to hang out.
This doesn't make sense,
Yeah, like, and it still doesn't. And yeah, it was just like, after all that happened, it was just a big, blur, literally a blur.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you started to process or tried to process that, what was kind of going through your mind? Like, what was the things that kind of like, okay, well, this, like, step one was this, step two was this. Like, what was that for you?
I don't think I stopped moving until like, because we had to like take care of, it all kind of, it was like people knew that I was about to just stop. And it was like I didn't stop moving for like at least maybe a week. And it was just like I kept going. And I didn't want to be alone or anything like that. And I just remember there was this one moment where, like, I don't know if it was the day after, 2 or 3 days after, I can't remember, but we're under the carport outside and we're hanging out with my in-laws, or my to-be involved, Greg and Allison. And I just remember there was this one moment where, like, they were like talking about something and we were trying to like just cut up and talk about good times and stuff like that.
Right.
And I just remember going to the back of the house and I was going to go grab something. I was just like, let me just go get this thing. And I go in the back and I just saw this picture there and I just like ran back outside and Allison's Bailey's stepmom. And she's amazing. She has one leg. She is one of the strongest people I know. Okay.
Yeah.
That woman caught me. Like, like I just fell and she caught me.
Wow.
And she held me up and she told me everything was going to be okay. But that was like when everything kind of got real.
Yeah.
And
like,
it was
this
like,
is really,
it really hit me. Like, man, it hit me like a truck, like a few trucks and they were backing over me kind of thing. And, but she caught me and man, like, I don't know how to even, but I remember that. I just remember that moment that it was just like, this ain't, this is real now.
Yeah. Or just the fact that he's really not coming back.
Yeah. To this day, like, I've still got, how like, on an iPhone, you pull up your text messages and there's like the bubbles of people like at the very top, where you can like pin conversations.
Yeah.
He's still up there. Like,
yeah.
And every so often I'll go and like, click on his bubble, and just read the last few things he told me,
Yeah.
But, I mean, just wow, man. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then here I am about to get married. And so I've got that on my mind.
Yeah.
And
so it's almost like, you have like a short time limit to deal with it in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So how did it, we're kind of already getting a feel for it, but how did it like affect you like directly and between the actual incident and your wedding? Like what were some of the effects for you?
Well, first I took some time off work, and I just needed time, I didn't realize it, but I did. I knew consciously that I needed. And so I took like, it happened at the very end of January and, like, we buried him that week, by the end of that. Yeah. It was like in the middle of that next week. And it was like, I couldn't we had a lot of people come into town. Everything happened real quick. And then my sister Lacey.
Yeah, that's that Lacey came in. She doesn't live here, so.
Yeah. And that was like, I mean, she pretty much stayed with us like the whole time. And her being there was a big deal. I really enjoyed having her there. She was like a breath of fresh air, just having her around. She kept everything real light, but she also knew like when to get heavy, She was, I just felt safe, I don't know how else to put that,
I guess because like, he was her brother too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's something about the knowing when you know that they know, and they know on a different level than just any old person.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a different level of comfort. Mm-hmm. It's just a different thing.
That's exactly right. Because we were all a part of that,
Yeah.
But he was my only brother. And so like, I'm the only dude,
Yeah.
Now, I've got 3 sisters.
Yeah.
But like me and him did everything together, man. Like,
yeah. Because y'all pretty close in age, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And we shared a room until I moved out.
Yeah.
And we actually lived at the same place for a long time after that. But I mean, I would see him like every day. We'd talk every day, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
we were tight. We were
real tight. Yeah. Because I remember first meeting you guys, like I think it was like a Thanksgiving many years ago, like you were together, like the whole thing. And
oh yeah, no, we were tight. But after that, man, it was like, days would go by, and it was like, okay, you can take a week off work. Okay, cool. And then like the next week came by, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And then a month had passed.
Yeah.
And then they were like, all right, so I teach guitar lessons, right? That's my day gig. That's what I do during the day. And then I'll have a gig on the weekend, and, then I'll go play at church on Sunday, that kind of thing. That's my typical.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing, during the week. And all of my students were so understanding. They were all super, super kind. They were like, we're here whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's just so fantastic. And everybody from church was just like, hey, man, look, I get it, man. Like, we miss you, but like, we understand. We don't understand, but we get it.
Yeah.
We need your time.
Yeah.
And it was about, it was like, boom, February, just gone. March, March is around when I started kind of like, okay, maybe I can take a couple. I'm just going to get my good students, I'm just going to teach, a few here and there,
Yeah.
And then
the easy ones.
Yeah. The ones that like,
doesn't take a lot of my brain power.
Yeah. Like, people that like, and I love all my kids. It's not about that, but it was just like, let me just get 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then the next week, let me add a couple more. And, let me start making some phone calls, and I started playing gigs and stuff. And I felt like that really helped.
Yeah.
But, around that time, it was like, I'm about to get married and everything like that.
Yeah.
But so that was the main thing on my mind. It's like, man, I'm literally about to get married, and I'm still like, I'm, in the midst of this, I don't know how to
still
feel.
Grieving. And grief is different for everyone. I lost somebody that was close to me and I wasn't even 20 yet. That's before I was 20. And it just, when it's sudden, and there's a sudden death as well, I think it hits you differently versus someone like that had cancer and you knew just the suddenness of it. And grief is just, it's weird. It's different for every person, because some days you are good. You feel almost normal. But then you're not. And you never know when the not's coming.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because there would be times I'm like, Brandy, you have to go to work today. But like, I was struggling.
Yeah.
Or like, Brandy, you have to go to class. I was in college, and I was like, you have to go to class, or you're a part of this thing you're committed to go to. You have to be there. But I'm like struggling to keep it together.
Yeah. And I still wake up and still have those days.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I don't mean for this to like sound like a, poor Austin, I don't want y'all.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want y'all to be like, man, this guy, poor sob story off, but, and I'm not doubting anything God's ever done. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, it's like I'm swimming through this, the muck.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hey, I said it. And, but no, for real.
But like, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, sometimes that water is a little thicker some days, and, but the days that, I'm I'm struggling to keep my head above water, you know. They're getting fewer and far between. Not saying I don't ever have those days. And sometimes it's just like, hey, you need to take today off. You know, your social battery is depleted. You need a day to recharge.
Do you think it affected your social battery? Because like ever since I've met you, like you're very much a social butterfly, or that's how it comes across.
I love people. And
like you're very much that.
Friends,
so this has definitely kind of altered you and that on that level.
I've had to become more aware of the way that I'm feeling. I have to be honest with myself, because if I feel like I'm giving too much of myself, or like if I'm, you know, man, you know, I've just had a long week, you know, I need a day off, you know, I need to just take today, and I'm just going to sit there, I'm going to watch Bob Ross with my dog, and I'm going to play some guitar. I'm going to play music that I want to play, gosh, whatever I've got to do, you know, listen to some Alan Jackson, like some feel good music, you know, and just, you know, but you know, God's been real good, man. And he's sent some people into my life, some people that aren't believers, some believers, you know, and he just, man, he is awesome. Like he is really just, he's the man. Like, he literally is. And like, just the love that he's shown me through people that like might not even know what, you know, they're literally doing the Lord's work, you know, and just, don't even know it, you know, and like on those days where like I just didn't know, you know, it was just like, you know, okay, I've got another week off. Let me just see if I can make it through this week, you know, and it would just be like Monday, Saturday, boom, there it is, you know, here we are, Sunday again. Okay, let me take another week off. Blah, blah, blah. You know, but I had, you know, there was days where like I had good friends that would call me, and there was a lot of love shown to my family and to me, and a lot of good people came and stopped by, you know, just unannounced, just like, hey, man, we're going to Waffle House, you know, hey, we're going to go see this movie, blah, 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 blah. And they understood whenever I was like, actually, no, you know, I need to stay here and just be real quiet and just, you know, let me just sit here a second, you know. Yeah. And then, like, you know, there was a lot of times where, like, I needed somebody to be there. I needed to spend time with somebody. But there was a lot of times where like I needed to be alone, and that's okay. You know, I've got to just be honest with myself. Yeah. Know, and just be like, I need this.
That's
what
you need.
To just get real quiet.
And that's big too. Like that's good to know that about yourself. Some people don't ever recognize that. And I think that makes it, or just prolongs the situation. So
and I got to be alone a lot, and that's okay. I've just got a lot going on upstairs, and that's you know
what you need.
You know, just
some good mental health there for sure.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So you know, when did things? I mean, you started recognizing, you know, understanding yourself that hey, I need to have some alone time. When did other things like start to kind of turn around for you, or you know? That's
a good question. So you know, thank God for my wife.
Yeah.
She has been just, I mean, she's my best friend, and I love her so much. And, you know, we got married in April. I had a really good friend of mine. His name's also Tyler. He was my best man. And I also had another best man. His name's Jared. Okay. And those guys, man, and I mean, just everybody there. It was just such a good wedding. Like,
it was a good wedding. We were present. You know, we're like, oh, it was fun, and
man, it was
you
awesome.
Seemed really happy.
Oh yeah, we were having the best time. Like, and we're still are like every day. You know. Alan, so, you know, I said Alan Jackson earlier. I'm name dropping, but Alan's got this song, and it says the best keeps getting better all the time, and that is that's reality right there. Yeah, and it's just like, you know, so we got married, right? Yeah, and that next day we went on this like. It was like a 12-day long, almost 2 weeks long road trip. Yeah, I noticed. We were like, dang, that's pretty cool. It was amazing, like to say the least. But we drove all the way to California and back. We went and saw the Grand Canyon, and we went through Joshua Tree. We went to Colorado. We went to a couple places in Arizona. But man, like thinking back on that, I'm like, God was with us. Okay, like, there's no way, man, that like. he wasn't, and there was some times where like the car wouldn't start.
Oh,
there was a
man.
couple times where we were like, oh man, just 5 more miles and then we're out of gas,
Yeah.
we got to go to this or, okay, we're about to run out of money.
Not where you want to be when you're out in the desert, basically. Out that way.
Literally Mojave Desert. Like, in the midst, we're in this little like Honda Civic, and staying in tents, but you know what? Like we learned how to, we loved each other. But man, we really
loved, really love each other.
But we grew through that. It was, through that we've learned how to not just that, of course,
right?
But like, man, we did some growing. There was a lot of character development on that one.
I'm sure
it was awesome. It was awesome. I learned, we can trust each other. We can rely on each other. We survived, man. It was awesome. It was really, really awesome.
Yeah. So like with what you had just went through with your brother, do you feel like being married made a difference in dealing with your grief?
Well, it was like, I knew I was going to get married before all this happened. Right? And we had been engaged for about a year at that point. And like, she's been with me through everything. She was there whenever I found out everything.
Yeah.
And I think that, her just being there and her understanding and, talking to her and just, I think that, that's a good question. Like, of course it has, like, yes, but it's more than just like, yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good question. Like me and Bailey's relationship has gotten strong. Like it's always been really strong. Like I told her I loved her like 2 weeks in. Okay. And she was like, okay, but that's okay.
I might like you.
Yeah. I was like, you're the one. Like I knew from the beginning she was the one. Okay? And, and I know the situation's real crazy. And we knew we were getting married before everything happened. But more than that, like through this situation, he's definitely strengthened. And I say he as in God, right?
Right.
Specifically Jesus. He has helped us every single step of the way. And we've learned how to communicate. We've learned to, hey man, like I just need a minute.
Yeah.
Let me breathe. Let me get a snack, maybe a nap. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this. Like that kind of thing. And, her being through it with me, I've seen where she might need it. She needs a second, and okay, let me just go in there a minute. Let me put on some Bob, and I keep name dropping, but like, the consistency. So for instance, I'm not sponsored by these people. There is a free app called Pluto TV and there is a Bob Ross channel and we have that thing on right now.
Oh my gosh. I'm about to say, you keep mentioning Bob Ross.
Look, I love him, dude. He like his consistency on my television has a lot to do with just me. I could just.
Is it like off. Free therapy, paint therapy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hearing him. Oh man, look at that. Phthalo blue, on the mountaintops.
Happy trees.
Happy trees. Yeah, absolutely. And I leave him on for my dog, Marley, during the day.
Or he used to, and now it's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, now, he's on right now. Like, as we're speaking, he's on that television screen right now. And Marley is chilling out, learning how to mix alizarin and crimson. And he is. But I would just, I'd had friends come over during, everything right after, and they'd be like, you sure like Bob Ross? I was like, look, don't touch the TV, okay? Like, I just need this.
Yeah.
I need to have this consistency right now. But,
so I'm glad that's all been a good help, and you can find that, and have that for you. But were there some things that discouraged you or has discouraged you during this time and just processing everything?
Man, one thing I was thinking of on the way over here, I was like, like you don't realize how much of pop culture has like just made light of suicide and people, oh man, I'm just going to kill myself, or man, like there's so many shows where people literally do what my brother did, just blatantly on the screen and nobody blinks.
Yeah.
But like every little reference to anything like that, I've become so sensitive to. Yeah. And it's like, people need to be aware of that. People need to be aware that that's real and happens. Like that is real. And people make light of that a whole lot. And even, Bailey and my sister, like every time somebody's like, yeah, we're just gonna, man, I'm just real stressed out. Let me just go kill myself,
You're like, don't do that.
Or like, actually, please turn this off. Like, please turn this television off. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like they think they know. Mm-hmm. They think they get it, but they don't. And people have said a lot of things to me, not like insensitive, insensitive. They just don't think about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's something as a culture we need to talk about.
Yeah.
We need to be serious and be sensitive to each other. Like, I'm not saying we got to be like, just super, I don't know how to put it, but we need to be aware of like other people's feelings. That's not a sign of weakness. It's just like a sign of like
being a real person and a grown up.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. We have to talk about this because you don't know what other people are going through. Mm-hmm. But I really missed him, and like I still haven't really comprehended. I still haven't wrapped my brain around anything. But it's like time was really kind of standing still, and it was like everything kept going. And it was like, those days where I'd be alone, it was like, I had to pay my bills and eat and sleep, and I was forgetting to do those kinds of things. And like, everything was still going on around me. I still had to pay my rent. I still had to, State Farm was still calling, not really, I paid everything all the time, but it's still like,
it's something you have, like I have to, I'm
like, can y'all just hang on? Like, like I literally can't function as a human being. I'm literally a potato right now. Like, I still don't know what's happening.
I remember feeling like guilty for laughing, and then it's like I can't laugh. No, this is not funny. Like it's like I didn't have. Remember feeling like I didn't have permission to laugh.
Literally,
and I had to like work through that. But also just this surreal feeling like you feel, because for you and your family, immediate family, time is standing still. But it's weird to acknowledge that people around you are not staying still with you. It's like you feel like the world's just staying still with you.
Yeah.
And it's a weird feeling to notice that they're not.
Yeah, it's like, I know they're right. I know the Ferris wheel's still spinning. Let me off for a little while. Can I just freeze everything? I don't want to have to worry about bills. I don't want to worry about teaching anybody. I just need to just sit here.
Well, yeah. And even for me, like I was kind of frustrated that the world wasn't stopping with me, because for me, for my loss, it was kind of like the world was dismissing that person that meant so much to me and other people. And it's kind of like, no, like y'all should stop with me because this person was great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Amen. Right. And that's how I feel. I'm like, y'all don't get it. No, this guy was amazing. Like, huge part of my life. And at times, like, we'd have really deep conversations, and he was a believer and was baptized the whole 9 yards. And we would just talk about things, and, at times I felt like he was the only one that really got me. He really actually got what was going on in the, I say in the world, it's almost a satire, but no, but seriously, like he understood the whole being alive, being a human being, situation. And we would talk about that a whole lot. And man, but God knew what I needed every day. And, if I needed friend of mine to come just make light, just a kiki, ha laughing, or, I needed somebody to just cry with me a minute, just hold me. Like my wife caught me a whole lot, my mom's still going through it. My sister's still going, we're all still going through it. But, certain days, the wheels would align and we'd all get together and just have a big old crying party and eat some good food. And it, wasn't like it was just like, let's just hang out, be in the same room together and just know that we're all alive and we all get each other, and that's cool. But, I heard somebody tell me one time that, because Tyler was a believer, he's not just part of my past, but he's going to be part of my future someday.
That's really,
And that's when I'm, it's not that I'm just blinded by the present, but man, I'm looking forward to that.
Probably in a way that you never really were before.
Exactly. Yeah. But they just got his, headstone up, like a couple weeks ago.
Isn't it amazing like how long that takes? I didn't realize how long that kind of stuff took until my grandparents passed. And you're just like, that's one of the, I guess, the downfalls of getting older. We start becoming more aware of things like that.
Yeah.
And because it just takes a really long time to get things like that put up.
It does.
And then it's weird how it affects you too, because I guess it goes back to having that respect or something. I don't know. I feel like this should be here. Why is it not here? I want it here now because this is like a part of recognizing the person that meant so much to me, and not just me, but a whole bunch of people, because again, they're awesome.
Yeah.
So it's just like, those are my feelings. I don't want to project that onto you, but this how I, with me and the headstone thing.
It was weird. It was weird because we had like a laminate, picture, with his, birth and death date on it and his name. And that was real spooky.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this isn't, are you serious? Like, what? Seeing that in paper,
Yeah.
And like, it's burned into my brain. This whole everything. But seeing that headstone, man, like that's real weird.
Yeah.
In the weirdest sense of the word, weird. Like that's like, that shouldn't, are you serious?
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep going back to that. Like, is this reality? But no, it's real life.
It's real.
In real life.
But I'm glad, we were just talking about heaven a minute ago, and how someone has mentioned that to you for Tyler, and that's just a great thing about being a believer, is that we can have that promise and have that something to look forward to. And people who unfortunately don't have that, I don't know what, if you yourself and your family weren't believers, like, I don't know how you would hang on or what you would hope for.
Oh, I'd be gone a long time ago, if that makes any sense. That's how I don't know what to, if I didn't have my faith and believe what I believed, man, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't know what. Like, and it was never for a minute that I doubted God. I never doubted him. I knew there was something he was doing, and he's still working. And through all of this, he's, he's interested in the final product of like, let's save as many people as we can,
Right.
And, like, he was saved. My brother was saved. There's no doubt in my mind that it's okay. It's all good. Like, we're going to spend eternity in heaven together.
Yeah.
But through this situation, there's been a lot of people that have come to know Christ and know God. And my wife is one of them.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing.
Wow. So that is amazing. Wow.
That girl, man, like, oof, I love that woman. She is seeing her grow and her being there for me and just her faith growing. And,
wow.
Together we've grown a whole lot. And, as time progresses, God reveals more and more to each one of us in a different way. Yeah. And, it's been a hard time. Yeah. Challenge. Yeah. But, through this situation, he's revealed more and more of himself to us. And he's still good, man.
Or there's some any verses or pieces of scripture or even songs that kind of help during this time?
Yes. So there's a few verses. Okay. There's a couple verses. So Psalm 40 verses 12 through 13, it says, "For troubles without number have surrounded me, and I'm unable to see. And they're more than the hairs on my head, and my courage leaves me. Lord, be pleased to rescue me. Hurry to help me, Lord." And that's literally how I was feeling. Like, I have no idea. Like, just please, God, help me. But that was like my initial, that comes, that feeling comes and goes. A lot of times I'm like, he's got this, it's all good. But then some days I'm like, man, I'm overwhelmed right now. All right. Another one is Romans 8 verses 38 through 39. "For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present nor to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord." And thank God for that. Because there's, if we're believers and and he's got us, there ain't nothing we can do, to separate us from that. Yeah. Like, nothing. Okay, I'll keep going. So 1 Corinthians 2:11, it says, "For who knows a person's thoughts except his spirit within him? In the same way, no one knows the thoughts of God except the Spirit of God." And I think about that a whole lot because, what was going through his mind? what was occurring, what was going on. You know, I wasn't there. You know, I'm taking all this, you know, this is all secondhand information that I've heard about what actually happened that evening.
Yeah.
But who knows a person's thoughts? You know? Like nobody except for God, you know? And I have faith that God knows what he's doing. Like, I'm not worried about that. It's just, you know, black and white. This is what happened, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So Philippians 4 verses 6 through 7, it says, don't worry about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And another translation of verse 6 says, don't worry about anything, but pray and ask God for everything you need, and always give thanks for what you have.
Yeah. What about that verse there? Was it the giving thanks to God for everything that you have, or was it just the giving prayer for everything? What was it about Philippians 4, 6 through 7 that meant something to you?
Oh man. So it really, so like verse 7 says, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. There's this song that, and I literally cannot think of what it. Okay, it's Firm Foundation. Firm Foundation.
Okay, is that one that's kind of popular right now?
I don't know. But the second verse says, "I've still got joy in chaos.
Yeah,
I've got peace that makes no sense.
Yeah,
I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength because I've built my life on Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through every season. So why would he fail now?"
And it goes, he won't.
Yeah, exactly. He won't. Yeah, exactly.
He won't. That's how the song goes.
What a bop, man. Like he's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and that's hard, you know, some people, it's hard to, you know, that's interesting, you know, through this, like, you know, you think like, man, this life sucks, you know, and I'm not saying there's not seasons of that, you know, of the muck, you know, there that's it again. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I do.
But thank God I'm not held by my own strength. He's got me, you know, and he's carried me through. Yeah,
and he's kept you from going under, as the song has said. It's like, almost like that song was like written for you, Austin.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, that one, you know, exactly. There's certain songs that like really, really hit. Okay, I've got one more. So Jimmy White is our worship leader at church. Okay. And I heard him singing this song one day, and it's a song that his dad used to sing. And there's so many versions of this out there. I don't know which one's my favorite, but it's this song. It's called "Thank You for the Valley," and it's this old. I think it's an old hymn, but one of the verses says, "Thank you for every hill I've climbed, for every time the sun didn't shine. Thank you for every lonely night. I prayed until I knew that everything was going to be all right. And I thank you for the valley I walked through today." Right. And we talk about, you know, worshiping on the hilltops, you know, it's kind of easy, you know, when everything's going great, that's awesome. You know, it's easy to say, thank you, God. But, you know, whenever we're in the valley, you know, that's whenever we got to thank him for the valley, you know, thank you for the valley I walked through today. Right. Yeah. But man, it's like he sang that song before everything happened. And then I heard him sing it again. And I was like, man.
Now it's like a whole nother meaning. I know everything. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a whole nother thing. And, but just, you know, it's in those times it's in the valleys. Yeah. That, you know, he's carrying us through everything. You know, this peace that makes no sense, you know, because I've got faith in Jesus, right? Yeah. Like, how about that? Yeah. You know.
That's awesome.
It just keeps going. It's a reciprocal, you know, all those little things are in that same, you know, realm. Yeah. But yeah.
So what would you say to someone today that was going through something similar? You know, they faced a similar tragedy.
Oh, man. So there's this Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver song. It's called Help Is on the Way. And it's one of I mean, man, this song came to me at a certain time where I was having one of those days where I felt like I was drowning. Yeah. And man, it's such a good song. It's just, you know, just hold on a little longer. Help is on the way. You know, brighter days ahead of us, you know, for those that believe and pray, right? Yeah. And man, it just really, really hit. I would definitely say that, you know, don't give up in the valleys, right? Because, it's not a matter of, it's not really up to us what's, we got, okay. Like we have free will, right?
Right.
And, but we have the free will to trust what he's got going on, and it's not about, it's not about like how strong we are or anything like that. It's not about us, right?
Yeah. It's not recognizing how strong he is.
Yeah. And it's like, we got to see and we got to wait and see what God's got cooking. And I know it seems like things might be dark right now. And, sometimes we just need to sleep on it and take a nap. In 1 Kings 19, verses 5 through 19, Elijah is feeling down and actually wants to die. But he lays down and goes to sleep, and he wakes up to an angel telling him, he says, get up and eat. And then he gets up and he eats some food, and then he goes back to sleep. And he's woken up again to the angel, and he says, you got to eat some more, because the journey ahead, you're going to die if you don't eat.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we just need a nap and a snack, and most of the time that's what's wrong with me. So I just, those days where I'm like, man, today is just not going too great. I was okay. So a little side note, I was working at Johnny's Pizza at one point, and I was having a rough day. And my buddy Joel came up to me and was like, man, you okay, Austin? You look like, you're having a rough time. I was like, yeah, buddy, I'm not doing too hot. I'm kind of stressed out. And he was like, in those times where you're really stressed out and you're working here, just realize it's just pizza.
But I mean, that's a good thought. Like, hey, it's okay. Yeah. You can take those pepperonis off.
Yeah. Like, it's like, hey man, look, just make you a little party pack, go around the corner, like come back. It's all good. It's just pizza.
Yeah.
But I know that sounds simple and it's obvious, but it's really true. While you're waiting and trusting in him, however, it's important to intentionally pray and be consistently and consciously thankful for what you do have. Jesus says in Matthew 6, verses 25 through 27, it says, that is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food and drink or whether you have clothes to wear. Isn't life more than food and your body more than clothing?
Yeah.
Look at the birds. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns, for your heavenly Father feeds them. Aren't you all more valuable to him than they are? Can all your worries add a single moment to your life? And there's another old song. It's called His Eyes on the Sparrow.
Oh, yeah.
And man, like, I love that song because I know he watches me, right?
Right.
He's taking care of the birds out in the field, so how much more, do you think he loves you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, man, how about that?
Yeah. That's some really good stuff there, Austin, and stuff that we all need reminders of all the time, to keep it. Well, we want to have in mind that God does love us that much, and he is always there for us and stuff like that. And I just can't, I'm so glad you shared about Elijah and that little story. Because like that instance where he's like, he literally asked to die. Like that's what he's saying. He just came from a mountaintop. Like he was literally up there with the prophets of Baal. Yeah, right? Prophets of Baal, and had this amazing moment. I mean, oh my goodness, he just called down fire from heaven, or the Lord sent down fire from heaven. Excuse us, but Elijah was making this big deal about the prophets of Baal or no big deal, and here's our amazing God, and just had that moment. And God showed up and did what God does. And then or how the scripture reads makes it seem like the very next moment, he's like afraid for his life and just wants to end his life. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. On the run and like, God, just take me now because can't do it. Life, yeah. The whole 9 yards, right? And it's like, you think about, we just got done reading through Exodus, and it's like you see these miracles happening, like parting of the Red Sea, right? All these huge things. I mean, crazy things are happening. Stuff like and then it's like the next week they're like, we're bored. Yeah, God's not gonna take care of us. It's like actually, yeah, he actually is gonna take care of us. Yeah, and again, I'm glad that you shared about Elijah because he sent an angel to give him his basic needs to carry him through. Sounds like a depression, Of course, he was in they're trying to tell him you got to eat and you got to do that. Well, when you're fighting depression or going through grief, those are the same things you're fighting to remind your body to do because you just on your own can't do it. So yeah, we're angels in my life. Yeah.
You know? And it's crazy how God uses people. Because it's like, you know, believers or not, like God can use you. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, you don't have to be a believer to be used by the Lord. The Lord is sovereign of everything.
Amen. And it's like, I mean, it was like, you know, it was wild. I didn't eat, you know, I was just, you know, sleeping was hard.
Yeah.
You know, but I had, you know, a wonderful wife and good friends and a good family, and people would call and, all right, have you eaten today? I'm like, actually, I haven't. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
You know, how much sleep did you get last night? It's like, well, I actually haven't slept.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know,
you should do that.
A good idea to do that. And I'm like, that's probably why I'm feeling the way I am. You know,
Yeah.
Let me get a snack and a nap. And, you know, most of the time I'd wake up and be like, okay, all right, I can do this. You know, got another day.
Man, well, Austin, thank you for sharing all this with us today, like sharing your story. And I know this was an easy story to tell. And I'm really sorry that you and your family have had to experience this, but thank you just for sharing it with us. I know someone here has benefited from it, has hopefully grown from it, or at least given some type of peace for their own grief today, for whatever that might be. And I just feel like we can be confident that God never wastes a pain. There's purpose in it, and somehow. And just, again, thank you for coming and sharing that with us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Well, thank you.
My name is Austin, and this is my story of the middle.
I'm your host, Brandy Bostic, and you've been listening to the Up From the Muck podcast. If you're interested in getting a little extra perks or learning more about the guest I interview, check out my Patreon account in the show notes.
Psalm 40, verse 2, he brought me up from a desolate pit, out of the muddy clay, and set my feet on a rock, making my steps secure.